All right, welcome to Do or Duncy, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of the hosts, David Allen, and another one is...
John Berwick, and a third one is...
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I am the Anik to John's Jasper to Dave's Xavier. You are a pop icon.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, I just got back from filming Hungry Hungry Hippos 2.
Yep.
I should have came with my outfit. I had no shirt, just the jacket. I would have been suave, but nope.
You did use the phrase "be right be" at one point during the episode instead of "BRB," so that was interesting.
Yeah, that's what the cool kids say, Kyle.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to be talking about all the characters from the Afterparty, and then we're also going to talk about another kind of murder mystery type show. All right, deep breath. The woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window.
Yes, that one.
Just the SEO on that. It rolls off the tongue. It's natural.
Yeah.
I saw something on Wikipedia. It's like also known as, and it was like TWINTHHART whatever this. It's like, no, get out of here. It's not the himium as we joked about last week. It's not something you can roll off the tongue. No. Okay. But we will talk about the woman in the house, the after party, and so many other things. And this first segment is, what is it, John?
In and out points.
Yes, it is in and out points. This week, I'm going to do a little bit of a roundup of all the award guild nominations, all the predictions of things coming out, because 1 week from today are Oscar nominations. So we'll talk about the Oscar nominations next week. But last Thursday, we had the Directors Guild, the Producers Guild, the Writers Guild, all announced their nominations on Thursday, which added to the already Screen Actors Guild, the SAG Award nominations that we had earlier this month. I'll just run through them, and then I'll mostly focus on the main three here. But the SAG Award nominees, Screen Actors Guild, were Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, House of Gucci, and King Richard. And what we're going to do when we're going through this here, see what names you hear a bunch, and then that maybe will point to maybe where the Oscars are going and what the front runners are and the ones you have to see. And I want to start off, though, with Producers Guild. That's where we're going to focus on, because the Producers Guild is normally, for the most part, the Best Picture nominees. They put out 10 nominations. Sometimes, 7, 8 of those are the nominees for Best Picture. One is switched out here and there, but these usually match up. So this is a good sense of where things are going. We have Being the Ricardos, Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, The Power of the Dog, Tick Tick Boom, and West Side Story. We've talked about a bunch of these on the podcast and that movie wrap up. At this point, I've seen close to, I guess I'm missing 3 so far, but
wow.
What are your thoughts on this group so far, Kyle, of what you've seen, what you haven't seen, what you've heard about?
I mean, it's just interesting to see Dune in that, because it was almost like a mega blockbuster coming out, and now it's recognized in this PGA nominations. I haven't heard much from Being the Ricardos, right? I heard a little bit when it initially came out, but not much after that. So it's just surprising to see that. But I didn't know Don't Look Up had a 55% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah, on these 10, it's the one rotten.
Yeah.
Being Ricardos is next with 68%, but all the other ones are in the 80s or 90s. So...
Yeah, I know a lot of people like Coda too. I haven't seen that. I really want to check it out. But I think I've been hearing a lot about The Power of the Dog recently, and I think that might be gaining steam. I don't know. Yeah,
and John saw that film when we talked about it. What do you think about that being included in the 10 here?
I mean, I don't think it was bad. I think it was a little slow, but that's not uncommon. I mean, I think we had last year. What was that one about the Amazon worker?
The Nomadland, the winner.
Yeah,
Best Picture.
Yeah. That one won, and I thought that was a little slow as well. So maybe I'm just
you want it fast paced.
Yeah.
Where's Fast 9?
Yeah. So I mean, I could see it. Like I said, it wasn't bad. It's just the pacing wasn't where I wanted it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. These are the 10 I've been hearing the most about. I would be not shocked if these are the 10 this year. The Oscars, they've been doing this. Oh, it could be 7, could be 8, could be 9 nominees. No, this year it's 10. We're doing 10. That's what we're getting. So I would not be shocked if at least 9 of these are the films and maybe one gets switched in and out. Because, again, it's just like these in October. Oh, this has Oscar buzz. Even before Don't Look Up or Licorice Pizza, if anyone even has seen these films, they were like, that has Oscar buzz. And it's like, you don't know. Just because Adam McKay and Leo or Paul Thomas Anderson, automatically it goes in there. Some of them, deserve the hype. You talked about like Dune. Denis Villeneuve, Timothée Chalamet, the cast, the visuals. It's of course, I wouldn't be surprised on Oscar morning. It's 10 nominations, sound.
Well,
and
especially for a technical side,
So
the technical side, sure.
Yeah, so
a lot.
So we'll see if these will hold up in a week. Usually the winner of the PGA, 69% is the winner of Best Picture. So there you go.
Wow. Big stakes.
And let's talk about Writers Guild. Writers Guild, they have 2 categories. They have adapted and original. Not everything is eligible, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Writers Guild, the adapted ones, we have Coda, Dune, Nightmare Alley, Tick, Tick, Boom, and West Side Story. And then for original, we have Being the Ricardos, Don't Look Up, The French Dispatch, King Richard, and Licorice Pizza. A lot of names, the very, very similar names here.
Yeah.
And you could have guessed a lot of these. Of course, Aaron Sorkin's going to get a writer's nomination.
Yep.
Adam McKay is another, big name in this category. A couple of the ones that you may be missing there that we just kind of talked about, there's a couple films that weren't eligible because they're not in the Writers Guild. The Power of the Dog, Belfast, that were on the PGA list, and then the Lost Daughter, Drive My Car. They were not eligible, and they've been getting some traction. But
is Belfast a foreign film?
I don't believe so. I believe it's Kenneth Branagh, black and white.
Okay.
I think it's set in Ireland, but I think it. I mean, there might be some foreign language elements in it, but yeah. But yeah, we got Nightmare Alley, French Dispatch. They kind of came in here. They missed the Producers Guild, but they're in this one.
Yeah, but there's a lot of the same players here, so it looks like at least 8 strong.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, if they're picking up all these things, those are going to now be locks for Best Picture, and we'll get to there a little bit later. We have one more to just run through, the Directors Guild. We're going to have 5 nominees, and we have the directors from Licorice Pizza, Belfast, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story, and Dune. You kind of figure just because of the films that are eligible and also some of the names, Paul Thomas Anderson, Denis Villeneuve, Steven Spielberg. It's like, of course they're going to be.
Yeah, the heavy hitters are gonna get the nominations. Yeah.
But some of the ones that maybe missed the cut, that are some of those big names that we would hear in other years. Guillermo del Toro for Nightmare Alley, he's not there. Adam McKay, not here for Don't Look Up. Ridley Scott, he would have had House of Gucci or The Last Duel. Not here. But I will say there's 2 directors that you would maybe add an asterisk to their film that are not in this category because they're actually in a different category. The Directors Guild does like a first-time directorial feature. And in that category, Maggie Gyllenhaal for The Lost Daughter and Lin-Manuel Miranda for Tick, Tick, Boom are nominated. So it's kind of like,
okay.
They didn't get a hit here. They kind of, they're still in contention.
Yeah.
With a DGA nom. So it's like the 7th nominee.
Oh, man.
But,
could you imagine if Lin-Manuel Miranda were to be nominated or won? He's going to be even more obnoxious than he already is.
You said it, not me. But what I've been hearing for the most part for the last few months, and what I think these awards have kind of proven here, I've been hearing a lot about Belfast. I've been hearing a lot about The Power of the Dog. So I'm kind of hearing it as like a 2-horse race at this moment, at least, between those two films. And while Belfast, Dune, and The Power of the Dog are the only films with all of the main guild nominations, if they were eligible, because we talked about WGA not eligible for all of them. It's Belfast that actually has the SAG as well and the actors behind it. So Belfast, if you look at the list of all the things that it's picked up nominations for, Belfast has the most checked boxes, if you will.
I mean, even from the box, I mean, I don't know much about it, but it looks just like an Oscar-y type film, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Roma, the black and white, the childhood story. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely picking up some love between all the different guilds. We'll have to wait and see where things go. There's a lot of other films. It's interesting because like I'm trying to think, like I've been catching up, and there's some films that have picked up steam which I watched and I'm like, really? I don't think that's good at all. And then there's other films that, actually I really liked Coda, but like The Last Duel I liked better than, Being the Ricardos. But like, here we are. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
But
I'm actually in the middle of watching The Last Duel because I was like, hey, why not? I'll check it out.
Yeah, great cast.
Yeah.
Interesting story script. But it's just crazy to me that like, I don't know. I don't think he shot them within a year. I mean, it was pre-shot Last Duel or House of Gucci or whatever the order was. But to have those two films released within is just wild. It's just wild to me.
It is pretty wild.
But I will make one prediction tonight. This is the only prediction I'll make. It's actually in the TV categories because, the DGA, WGA, they also released TV nominations, which we didn't really talk about tonight. But I will make one in the drama TV series category. And I will say Succession will win the Directors Guild Award for drama TV series. You know how I know that? Because for the first time ever, it swept 5 nominations in the category for Directors Guild. So somebody from Succession's going to win. I don't know which one, but I will say Succession will win.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show you how good that show is.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's so good.
All right. Well, that is it for our awards. We'll talk about more about the Oscars next week. But we got a couple more in and out points to talk about tonight. And we're going to start off with one that involves a previous DGA Oscar name, David Fincher. He was in the race last year with Mank, led with 10 nominations. But we're actually going to talk about a different David Fincher film, the 1999 film Fight Club. And for some reason, how 20 years later, we're finding out about a new ending in a new online release in China. I'll start off saying the original ending, so I guess spoiler alert for Fight Club. But at the end, Edward Norton's character kind of kills his split personality, Tyler Durden. They both, or then Norton and then Helena Bonham Carter's characters are watching all the buildings explode outside. That's our big cinematic blockbuster type ending with all the explosions. But that's not how it is in this new release. Because in this new ending on the streaming site Tencent Video, there's no explosion. Instead, viewers are told in a title card, nonetheless, that the state successfully busted Tyler's plan to destroy the world. It says, quote, through the clue provided by Tyler, the police rapidly figured out the whole plan and arrested all criminals, successfully preventing the bomb from exploding. After the trial, Tyler was sent to a lunatic asylum, receiving psychological treatment. He was discharged from the hospital in 2012. Just a nice little bow on the thing, right? We just wrapped it up.
Yeah.
All criminals, not just ones, not just him, all criminals.
Yeah. Great job, police. You arrest the whole plan, all the criminals arrested, successful, boom, 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 all done. And they brought him to a hospital. He was discharged. He's A-OK, out in the world, 2012.
Dude, just wild. I wonder how much the original is selling for, like on the streets.
Yeah.
Like I got the Fight Club, the director's cut, the real cut. Come get it. Come see it.
You would think. I mean, I don't know when it made it to China, but I feel like at some point since 1999, this film has been seen. Like nobody's like, wait a minute, I don't remember this is how it ended. I feel like there was something else to this story.
Yeah.
It's just wild. It's been so late.
Unless we're just hearing about the censored version now, but I feel like it would have, become apparent by now. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. And
unless Fight Club is just getting popular there, could you? I don't know.
Or maybe we forgot the one rule of Fight Club. Yeah. You don't talk about Fight Club. We've all known about it for so long, but we've kept it secret for 20 plus years here. But
yep.
We're unsure if it was altered for censorship or it was a government order. We don't know, but a source familiar says it was edited by the copyright owner and then approved by the government, which I would have to assume it's the studio here, because I would be shocked if David Fincher allowed this.
Yeah.
Shocked if he would.
Because wouldn't it go against the very art that you created and made?
Yeah, it's literally almost like the point of the movie.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, why would the director go along with that?
Yeah. Unless
he's like beholden to the studios and he's like, oh, I got to do it because I want to be able to make another movie. But that just seems stupid.
Yeah. But what's interesting is the author of the novel, the 1996 novel, had a surprising reaction to all this, because he told TMZ, quote, "The irony is that the way the Chinese have changed it is that they've aligned the ending almost exactly with the ending of the book, as opposed to Fincher's ending, which was the more spectacular visual ending. So in a way, the Chinese brought the movie back to a book a little bit." So that was his quote there. That, I guess,
interesting.
It's closer to the author's intent, this ending. In the book, the plan to destroy civilization is also foiled. The bombs malfunction, and then Norton's character wakes up in a mental hospital. So it's not exactly the book, but it's like, well, I mean, there's no explosions. He's in a mental hospital. It's like, all right, it's close enough to the novel.
Yeah.
But
just weird, man.
Yeah.
It's just censoring stuff. It's just not, I don't know. Just a weird, bad look.
Yeah.
It's just not a good look.
Not a good look. And there's another company that's not having a good look. It's not looking too good for them right now. Peloton. About a month ago, a fictional character on the Sex and the City reboot suffered a heart attack riding a Peloton bicycle, and the PR team for the company, well, and also for the actor for completely unrelated reasons, went into crisis mode. And here we go again, because in the new season of Billions, which I guess, spoiler, for the new season of Billions, Mike Wags Wagner is taken to the hospital after using the Peloton spin bike. I think he's okay. He doesn't die like the Sex and the City character did.
Yeah.
But two heart attacks within a month here on the Peloton. John, are you looking to buy a exercise bike at this point?
Not a Peloton. I already got a normal one.
Okay.
One that doesn't give me a heart attack.
Okay.
Yeah, how stupid do people have to be that they correlate the bike brand with heart attacks?
Yeah.
How dumb. How stupid. Peloton gave him the heart attack, not the 50 years of steak and potatoes.
Yep. Yeah.
But dude, I can't believe this isn't an SNL skit yet, where everyone, where they have the Californians, but they're just on Pelotons and they just keep dying.
Yeah, just over and over. There was a good SNL joke this week on Weekend Update where it's just like, between all these things happening in TV shows, Peloton is now worried of how season 2 of Squid Game is going to turn out. Like all of them on Peloton bikes. But the thing is, Peloton tweeted out, we get TV shows want to include Peloton to get people talking, but to be clear, we did not agree for our brand or IP to be used on Billions or provide any equipment.
Don't you have to like blur it out if they don't give permission? So
I thought so. At the very least, you have to like change the logo enough to be like, it's not Peloton, it's Veloton. Like you have to change the name of it just a little bit.
But did they not even do that?
I don't think so. I mean, I would have to look again.
So how is that?
But
so either Peloton was okay with it, or I don't know.
Flip the P into a D, and you're good to go. Both the logo and the name. You're perfect.
Yeah.
Peloton.
Yeah.
Copyright. Don't take it from me.
I don't know if it was just some low level person at Peloton gets a phone call. Hey, we want to use Peloton in a Showtime series. Okay, sure. And then like I don't. You would have to like
no way.
Because didn't we talk about like in movies or whatever? Apple was like, you cannot have the iPhone be for a villain. It has to be a good character, or in like Disney movies, only villains can smoke cigarettes, or it's like there's certain rules, and it's like I feel like with this, this is their main product, and for people to just like drop off like every ride, it's not good.
No, it's not good for the brand, but I just can't even believe that this is allowed. I mean, I thought that you had to agree to this kind of thing, otherwise it has to be considered parody, like an SNL skit or something. Yeah,
but I could see SNL doing it. But yeah, for two scripted series to do it and to do something this big with two pretty big characters on those shows.
But again, I go back to how dumb do people have to be like, oh, Peloton, that gave me a heart attack. What? So stupid.
Yeah, because I think they also mentioned in like the tweet, it's like, as the show itself points out, cardiovascular exercise helps people lead long, happy lives. Yeah. And it's just like, reminder, exercise good, but what's interesting, I think, is the episode of Billions was produced before the premiere of And Just Like That, but then they added a line into Billions where he says, quote, I'm not going out like Mr. Big. And it's just like, and like, did they just add that to make it not seem like, oh, we're not copying them? It's like, because we didn't know at the time of making this that they would also do in their premiere episode a character heart attack on the Peloton, but
would they do it with like the Sheikah goes up over his head and he says it behind like his over?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's like a Craig Ferguson. You put the hand in front of the mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
But either way, company's having a rough time. Share prices have crashed. The production of bikes. I mean, even just because like there's that post-pandemic boom. People buying their bikes. Now no one.
People are probably going back to the gym or have gotten sick of Peloton in their home. Not motivated at home.
I hear you on that. But yeah, we'll have to see if these things could normally come in 3. So.
Oh God. Next, it's got to be a live news segment, and somebody actually has a heart attack.
Well, you mentioned SNL, and that kind of leads into our final in and out point. We discussed last week they were building a movie studio in space, but this week we're actually going to be building an event venue right here on the water in New York City. Well, on the Staten Island Ferry, that is, because early last week, some mysterious bidders purchased a broken down ferry that was part of the Staten Island Ferry fleet, and it turns out it was Saturday Night Live's Pete Davidson, Colin Jost, and a comedy club owner, Paul Italia. Those 3 went in on a Staten Island ferry. All right. Could we do it, guys? The 3 of us?
Yeah.
You want to buy a ferry? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're dual redundancy, though, so we're going to have to buy a paddle boat to start off with. That's going to be our party barge. So this is basically just going to be a party barge where people are like jamming out, or
I guess so.
Are they holding the Saturday Night Live parties there? What's happening?
Yeah, you would think at least some would be there. When I initially thought, when I saw this headline, I'm like, they bought the Staten Island Ferry. I was like, first of all, I was shocked that they were even allowed to do that. And then B, I'm like, this was cheap. It was only $280,000 for. I'm like, that's it for the Staten Island Ferry. I feel like, again, get like 10 of us are the friends. We could probably buy the Staten Island Ferry if we really wanted to. And then what? You just buy it and then you like close it as a prank. Haha, Staten Island, you're stuck there. But no, there's multiple ones, and that this one was a 56-year-old decommissioned ferry that is in quote poor condition. It has some mechanical issues, so it seems like it's just probably going to be parked somewhere along the river, and then it'll become an event space, and then live entertainment, probably stand up and maybe some concerts and stuff like that.
I mean, for $280,000, I don't know what the docking fees are like for that, or like the pier fees or whatever, but they could probably make their money back pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would think so. I can't imagine it being that expensive, especially if they actually bought a place in Manhattan or Midtown and had to do that. But it's like it's right on the water. It's really just it's like the casino in Ozark. It's just it's just there. You can just park it there.
So you're saying they're trafficking drugs, is what you're saying?
And I didn't say it, but maybe
they're laundering money through their Staten Island Ferry.
Yeah,
reminds me of they once made a floating McDonald's on a barge for a World's Fair up in Canada, and that did not turn out great for it. It was used for the World's Fair and then never used again, and has fallen into very poor condition. But I just think it's funny that, like, is it going to be the next that? Like, are they going to have like one event there and then never use it again? Like, who buys a boat for long term for what? Like, I don't know. Especially
a boat that can't probably go anywhere.
Right? Yeah. It's not like you're going to take it across to Florida or something to like have a show down there. You'd have to tow it. Like, you know, like.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we could do a live podcast from this event space on the Staten Island Ferry boat. I just also, I was always under the assumption that Staten Island did not like Pete Davidson. I know he's the king of Staten Island, but I always thought like they had enough of his wisecracks, and because on SNL he's just like craps on him the entire time. So I just always thought like, do they even want to be associated with him?
But I guess since he's from there, it's kind of like you can make fun of my. Like, I can make fun of my brother, but you can't, kind of thing. Like, he can make fun of it.
He can make fun of it, but I feel like, the people of Staten Island are like, stop making fun of us. Like, but, well, that is it for In and Out Points this week. We have some shows, and we better get to them because this first one has a title that's going to take me 5 minutes to say. John, send us back.
We're back, baby.
Gotta get back in time.
All right, it's The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. The series premiere, episode 1, dropped on Netflix January 28th. This dark comedy is a parody of all those mystery psychological thrillers, and it stars Kristen Bell as a heartbroken woman, afraid of the rain and unsure if she just witnessed a murder across the street. All right, we all saw the premiere of this. John, why don't you start us off? What did you think of The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window?
Oh, man. I get what it's trying to do. It's trying to be a parody of, those old murdery mystery kind of things where it's all campy and stuff. But they're leaning too far into it where it's not getting the point across that it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
Like, the funniest thing is she dropped the casserole dish 3 times. That's it. That's the funniest thing. That was the entire show. That's all, so it did nothing for me. It did nothing. I don't know. I don't know if there's much more redeeming qualities beyond that, to be honest. She's like showing up to school to bring like children there, but then she doesn't have children or something. Like it didn't do anything. It just was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to explain it more than that. Like
it's. I wrote that down. It's trying too hard to walk this fine line. It's a satire, but also a real mystery, and it can't be both. I feel like it needs to go one way or the other. Like there was this show Angie Tribeca that was kind of making fun of the police cop shows and stuff, and it leaned heavy into parody and satire, almost too much so that it was exhausting. But it picked a lane. This I feel like is still trying to figure out what lane it's going to be in. because I thought the pilot, this first episode, didn't have enough satire. It didn't have enough real mystery. And for me, the biggest joke is the pouring the full glass of wine, because those characters, they like wine. And that was it. Like, that was me. That was my biggest joke takeaway from this. But Kyle, what did you take away from this show?
I agree with both of what you said. It's a parody, but not enough parody. And it is trying to walk that line, but there's just not enough jokes. It's too real. It's too set in the dramatic to feel like a parody. And you can see, like John said, see what it's trying to do, but it doesn't go far enough. It just feels like a regular drama. And I mean, we got a little bit of what's going on with the main character, but yeah, it does have to pick a lane, and I don't think it knows what it wants to be. It's just too all over the place for me, and it's a shame. I like Kristen Bell, but I did not like this too much. It just didn't do anything for me. Because
even the mystery element, I feel like, was lacking, because the whole time I was waiting for something, anything exciting outside of the like hallucination she has. Like, what really happened in this pilot, this premiere episode? Movers moved in next door. She likes the single father.
Yep.
That's it. Nothing
casserole dish
happened. Yeah, the 3 casserole dishes. But like the big moment at the end. What is this cliffhanger? Someone's in the house. It's like, we did the plot synopsis that I gave you at the end of
has more than
we saw in the 30-minute episode.
Yeah.
She didn't even witness this murder yet.
Yeah, I know, which is wild.
You gotta end with that. Like, that's the hook of the series. That's the hook of all these movies, is that they see a murder. Is it a murder? You gotta show us that in the first episode.
Yeah, especially if it's in the synopsis. I mean, like, what are you waiting for at that point? We already know something's gonna happen. You gotta show us at some point.
And maybe all of this will build, but like, it shouldn't need to spend whatever 6, 8, 9 episodes, whatever this is, to fully work. Because these movies can do it in 90 minutes or in 2 hours. This series doesn't need to take 3, 4, 5 hours to tell this story. And, we got this guy spending days to fix a mailbox. And as you mentioned, the casserole dishes, maybe it all will mean something. But like,
yeah, of course.
In this first episode, just based on that one episode, I don't think there was enough there for any, to keep going.
Yeah, me either. I just I wasn't vibing with the show, man. Just not. It's gotta pick a lane. It's gotta pick a lane and go there.
There was one thing that like stood out to me. I wonder if you guys had the same thing. It was with actually some of the acting of Kristen Bell. There's a point where, like, the single dad that moves across the street tells her at like one point, like, "Oh, you should paint again," and she has this look on her face of like horror, shock. She pauses, and it's just like, and then he leaves, and it's just like I know it's making fun of like these type of over dramatic stuff here, but I just thought it was like really almost like bad acting. And then I just been looking up stuff for the podcast. I'm looking up articles, and I see that there's an article that literally says Kristen Bell bad acting, and it goes into this quote that she says where she said, quote, "We tried to create a very real world that you would see in one of these psychological thrillers and create real suspense, because if we were just making a joke and nobody cared about who the killer was or who had done it or how it ended, then no one would watch it. I just looked to the director to figure out if what I was doing would be funny, and across the board, the note I kept getting was just be sincere. And then I kind of realized that I was doing some really good bad acting, and it worked. It is a fine line, and it's something we all, I think, struggled with initially." So it's like, so this quote, I'm all over the place with it, because
I know.
She says, okay, I want to do something funny, but we're playing this sincere, and the note I kept getting was just be sincere, and then I realized my sincerity was really good bad acting. What? So are you a bad actor being sincere? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah, I don't know. That quote confused me. It spun me all over the place. I couldn't follow what she was saying at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's another actor that like is quoted in it. "As we kept shooting, we all got better at being bad actors." But like, she mentioned something about like, oh, if it was like all a joke, nobody would care about who the killer was. And it's like, but I mean, already the two examples just popped into my head on the podcast here. American Vandal.
Yeah, that's the initial one that I was thinking of.
And then if you go back to it, say what you will about them, but Scary Movie. They were parodies of all these movies. Does it really matter who the killer was or whatever in those movies? Yeah. No. But you still watched them. You enjoyed them. You know, you had a laugh. So it's like, I think I would, especially whatever, a 6-episode Netflix binge. Okay, I don't really need to have this, let's see, like Mayor of Easttown, you know, kind of like, oh, who's the killer? Who's this? Who's that? I don't need the full thing if it's just a small little parody. You know, but
yeah, I mean, I'm there with you, man. I don't know. Just not enough.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what she's talking about here, but you know, I just couldn't follow what she was saying. Oh, well.
And I want to do one quick nitpick and then we can move on. There's a point when we see like her ex's Instagram and he finally updates it. He only had about 4 photos before he did the update, and they were all of her and like their wedding and all this stuff. You are not putting your 5th photo on this Instagram account of your new girl with you, because you got to delete those first 4 photos. Like to have 4 photos of your wife, your marriage, and then show another, like you gotta, it's one thing to like have those photos and then you have to like scroll 2, 3, 4, 5 years and then, oh, here's a new photo. So like if anyone's looking, you really have to go for, but no, you have 5 photos on your account and you have 2 different women that you're with. That's it.
Why even update at that point if you have 4 photos? Like,
get a new account. Yeah. Delete the old one. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's a choice.
Hey, he's got to show some progress. He was going from one to the next.
And then, like, what is this new girl thing? It's like, do you really need your ex-wife sharing the screen with me on here? Like, really? But okay, that's all I got. I don't think any of us are going to be keeping up with the show.
Nope.
No, sorry. Too long of a title, too.
This is going to be one on the final podcast of the year. We're going to be like, oh, yeah, remember it? What was that? Oh, yeah. Like, we're going to forget this, I think. But one show, another murder mystery type show, definitely, I feel like, for me at least, had some comedy. The Afterparty, the series premiere, also January 28th. This was on Apple TV Plus. And this murder mystery comedy series takes place at a high school reunion and the Afterparty at this kind of famous personality, Xavier's house. Well, he's murdered. And the entire series, every episode is going to be another character's perspective on who did it and the genre that maybe that person chooses. So it's a kind of hard to explain, but we'll get to it a little bit. Kyle, what did you think of the Afterparty?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it has a stellar cast, and I thought the cast of characters was really well done and really well thought out. Xavier, I think they couldn't have picked a better person for him. He's just so like douchey, and Dave Franco plays it well, so that's good. Yeah, I think there's some unique charm to all the characters, and that's what really I think sets this apart. And I think a lot of the jokes are well done. There's some corny stuff in there, but you know, overall, a lot of funny stuff between all the characters. And it was quite enjoyable to watch. I do have a couple of nitpicks, but I'll get to those later on. But generally, I do like this show. Yeah,
I'm enjoying it so far. I watched 2 episodes. I watched an extra one last night. And you know, just looking at it on paper, the cast and crew, what a lineup. Mm-hmm. You know, in front of the camera, Tiffany Haddish, Sam Richardson, Ike Barinholtz, Ben Schwartz, Ilana Glazer, Dave Franco, etc., etc. The list goes on and on. There's so many recognizable faces and comedy greats in this series. And then behind the camera, too, you have executive producers Phil Lord, Chris Miller, who I've loved almost everything that they've kind of worked on, whether it's you know, the animated films like Lego Movie or the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse films and 21 Jump Street and just all the different, you know, Last Man on Earth. They have such a great kind of comedy style about them. And one thing I really like about them is the level of detail that they put in on some of their jokes and some of their visuals. They have this great obituary that they did on Xavier, just going in on like he was in a Hungry Hungry Hippos movie.
Yeah, line. I wrote that line down.
He was in the Daryl and why am I saying it?
Hall & Oates?
Yeah, Hall & Oates. I don't know where I got Daryl from. Autocorrect here. Hall & Oates biopic with Channing Tatum, and we get this like scene from the film, and it's just like the details are perfect. They care about everything. Nothing is like just thrown away. It's all set up and it's all punchlines. But
the Hall & Oates thing, what was funny is when he was like, "You sing at this level, and I'll sing it even higher."
But John, are you feeling it with us? Are you out on your own?
I enjoyed it more than the other show. I'll say that.
Well, that's not a high bar, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it, but it didn't grab my attention at the beginning. I don't think I'm quite into the frame that they're painting of someone who's either not a cop investigating or not bad cop as in evil, but bad cop as in bad at their job. Or
it's literally Tiffany Haddish as a cop. Like if you could imagine Tiffany Haddish being a cop. Like
nothing against her, but I don't think that role fits for what I want out of the show. And I get it's supposed to be a comedy, but I feel like that should be the straight to the comedy. You know what I mean? That should be the point where the guy's like, why, what you did, what, like, instead of like, oh, I got popcorn, like, I don't know. I felt like that was one of the parts that I was lacking from me. Otherwise, it was all right. You're saying that each different person kind of has a different style of explaining it, and it's like cut differently and all that.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, then maybe I'd be in for another one or two if that's the case. Then just to see how it differs. I'm not saying no to it, but it just didn't grab me right away. That with all the things going on today, there's six other things trying to grab my attention too. Yeah,
I hear you. Like, so at first I thought some of the character personalities might be a little different because each episode, story is going to be told from a different perspective. And I thought, maybe it'll be like, this person actually acts a little differently. After watching the second episode, I'd say it's less about that, and it's more about the style of how they're telling their story. That each episode is going to be like a different genre for the character's recollection. Like in the first episode, you see just a quick little thing of this black and white art movie, but then it's mostly focused on Sam Richardson's kind of rom-com kind of story. So it's a lot of romantic comedy parodies. There was the fun montage. There was the kind of the rom-com Tom karaoke mishap. It was and
the my neck, my back is so stupid.
And like the excessive use of rain, and it's how it's always raining, and even she called raining again. It's like, no, but I was emotionally. It's like, so they're really going into that. The second episode, it focuses on Ike Barinholtz's character, and it's more of a kind of, I guess, John Wick action movie, I'm a tough guy kind of thing.
That's
so
funny.
I think each one, it's going to be something different depending on that character's personality, of how they're telling their story, their side of events to Tiffany Haddish's police captain character. But yeah, I'm interested to see, like, because this will be a good test, as Kristen Bell was saying, like, if it's just funny and just for laughs, will people care about the murder? So far, I do I'm interested who is it, but also that's not the whole reason I'm watching this, because I like just this ensemble just joking around and the hijinks that they get into. But I also wonder, it's like, am I already, unless there's some big twists, it's like, okay, well, it's, there's 2 or 3 characters at least we see that they're the only ones upstairs at the moment. So unless everyone's story is completely different, really, it's only going to be these couple. It could possibly be, but who knows? I'm sure there's going to be some wacky thing, some little detail. It's like some surprise character reveal that we don't see coming, and it's like
maybe.
But again, I don't think that's like, it's not really about that. It's not about the mystery. It's more about the ensemble and the things that they get into. Yeah,
of course, totally. But yeah, I like the ensemble of characters. I think I'm going to stick around and I'm going to keep watching it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think there's only going to be like 6-8 episodes, so it's half hours. It's
And Sam Richardson is so damn good, dude. He's so funny in everything he does.
Definitely.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and he's mostly paired up with Ben Schwartz, who sometimes gets into the, cliche Ben Schwartz stuff. But I do like that John Ralphio type thing. Yeah. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But Ike Barinholtz I like from, Blockers he was in, and a bunch of other things. And I mean, every single one in this photo, I know you have good things to say about. But did you have some nitpicks, Kyle, you said, before we wrap it up?
It just a little bit. I mean, it's broken down like this because I'm imagining that their story, their video type, or like their storyteller type goes along with kind of how they look. But it because it was a high school reunion, it did feel like high schoolish, where it's like these cliques, and it's like people don't really live like this, but I get what they're trying to go across because they're trying to set a standard for each story that they tell. So it's an easy like concept, but in reality, it's like people don't act like this, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think if we had to say there was a straight man in this, it would be Anik, I think, at least from the first perspective that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's like the main character of his story. Yeah. In that, everyone's gonna think that they're the hero of their own story, but because a lot of the other characters in this are pretty over the top and wild. But I'm definitely gonna check out more. That's the After Party. We have one more thing to talk about tonight. A new show we haven't seen more than just the trailer of, and that means it's a coming attraction.
Here are some exciting coming attractions.
All right, we're talking about Halo. It's going to drop on Paramount Plus on March 24th. And this is based on the video game franchise. And it follows an epic 26th century battle between humanity and the alien threat known as the Covenant. So we got Halo here. And outside of knowing it's a video game, I know nothing about this. So, John and Kyle, I'm hoping you guys have something here. Kyle, were you a Halo guy?
I mean, I grew up and I'm playing it, but I'm not. I don't know if I would consider myself a Halo guy. Like, I'm not that in depth with the story, and it's been so long. But I played most of the games, and I do enjoy the story. So I'm interested to see what they do with the television series, but. From what I saw of the series, or from the trailer, I'm interested in what they got. It's just I always get concerned with series like this because I don't want it to go into like bad, like budget Power Rangers type stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I was a little worried watching this. So like, there's definitely, I feel like, all the good parts of the CGI and of the pilot in this. And there was a couple points where I was watching it where I'm like, there's this battle and they're kind of like in this enclosed outdoor space with like these fences around. I'm like, this is like the main set and they're literally just going to be fighting in this little area. And the reason there's these walls up is because that's our little bubble here. We're not leaving this. We're not going to go out into space and shoot lasers and stuff. So that's what I was a little worried with at first. But watching this, it did remind me a lot of like The Mandalorian. Just like, obviously, you got this like lead character not seeing his face, got the helmet on. So I'm like, okay, it's The Mandalorian meets like a CBS procedural at points where like I saw like there was like this like general character and it was just like, will we get to battle? Like it was like very like stiff, like, and I'm like, oh no, is it? That's what I'm like worried about.
It could be a total disaster, which should stink because the game is probably considered one of the best games of all time. I don't know,
because it looks expensive at least at first, but it's like, will it stay that way? Because it's like, you can't do this every week. You know, it's like sometimes you need that bottle episode. You need the smaller one. You need the, you'll have a big pilot premiere with a lot of action, but then the next few will be more quiet. But John, are you familiar with Halo? Did the trailer entice you?
I've played a little bit of the first Halo game. I know there's like 90 of them now. So I don't have as deep of a root into it as maybe other people do, but Yeah, it looks interesting. I'd be interested in hearing more about it. I know it supposedly has a good story and has good music and all that, so I'm always down for that. I think some of the nitpicks I saw online were there's a CGI AI, I believe, called Cortana that lives, I guess, in his helmet now. I don't know exactly, or in his head. And a lot of people were critiquing how Cortana looked. I guess it didn't look blue enough for them, and looked a little too fake.
They want to Smurf?
I can kind of see. Yeah, well, I can kind of see. I mean, she went through several iterations between games as technology changed and all that. So that's kind of up in the air. I also saw some people complaining that they were like the cars and vehicles in the background. Some of them were just like a Chevy Tahoe, like a 2001 Chevy Tahoe, or like some of the weaponry they used was like, you know, a gun that's old now, you know, like, you know, stuff like that. So I saw some fair critiques.
What's old like, is new. 26th century, it's vintage.
Kind of future. It's a flying Chevy Tahoe.
Yeah,
but, you know. So as those things I think are fair critiques. If it's supposed to be a new show, like, cool, you're on the ground on the set, but decorate the car, maybe, you know, like, or you know, I don't know.
I mean, it could be one of those things where it turns into a crappy like C or D movie level budget, and I mean, how much are they advertising this series? Is it gonna be big for Paramount Plus, or is it just like a secondary thing? Because I mean, this was a blockbuster of a video game. If you don't treat it as such, it's gonna look like trash.
I mean, like, what's the budget? Because it's like, when Lord of the Rings, or when Amazon took Lord of the Rings, they're spending money on it. They're spending money on it because they want to nurture it and make it a franchise and make it last for years and years and years. What I'm worried about with this is I did a little bit of research, you know, on the show, and it's been in development for so many years. This thing was supposed to come out in 2015, not the specific episode, but like a Halo series that they've been working on. It's gone through many different showrunner changes, different channel changes. It's supposed to be on Showtime, then it was moved to Paramount Plus, and I literally, right before the podcast, in my timeline, I saw today that if it was granted a season 2, there will be a third showrunner that takes over. So it's like already that I don't like that, where it's like, you know, the second showrunner is leaving after the first season. Why? Like, why does he want to leave already? It's like, so behind the scenes, it doesn't fill me with confidence. The trailer looked, you know, as you guys were saying, kind of exciting, you know, with some of the action, with the effects, but I'm just worried that, you know, episode 6 or season 2 or whatever it is, the budget could just not be there.
Yeah, seriously. And then you're looking at dudes in green suits, just dramatic dialogue.
In a Chevy Tahoe.
Cut to shielded face. You know, it's like, oh, what
all
emotion
ADR.
we have here. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Huh? We'll wait and see. March 24th on Paramount Plus.
Could you imagine if the show turns into cut to shielded man, cut to Avatar, the AI Avatar blue. It's just gonna be all ADR dialogue. We'll fix it in post. Oh my God!
I mean, that would be the Power Rangers, right, back in the day, the original Power Rangers.
Wow. Yeah. It would be a shame if this series turned into that, because it's such a good game, such a good story too. Mind you, this is my younger self coming out, so it could have been trash, and I don't know.
All right, we'll wait and see on that. We won't talk about it next week, but we will have 2 new series again to talk about next week. Finally, we're gonna have Pam and Tommy. We've been looking forward to it for a while. That will be out on Hulu. And then there's going to be kind of this improv murder mystery called Murderville with Will Arnett and a bunch of celebrities, half scripted, half improv. I think it'll be worth checking it out because it seems like a very unique concept. And then, as I mentioned before, Oscar nominations. So we got a jam-packed show next week to talk about. I mentioned movies when I was talking about the Oscars. Speaking of movies, last week, we drafted 2022 movies with the good, the bad, and the watchable. Check it out in their feed. It was a very fun draft. Of course, it went into chaos with the first pick, as expected. But it was a lot of fun talking about the movies that you should be looking forward to in 2022. But that's all we got for this week. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, on Instagram at DoorDunsey, and you can find episodes of the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, DoorDunsey.com, and of course, Twitch. We're live Tuesday nights on Twitch, twitch.tv/DoorDunsey, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's all I got. I got to make sure I thank both of you guys, Kyle and John, for doing the show, and of course for John for directing the Twitch stream, getting the episode up into the podcast players. I couldn't do it without you guys. But that's all we got for this week. Until next time, I am the man across the street in the house, David Allen.
I'm the man across the street from David Allen in my house, John Berwick.
I'm the man below them in the video camera, Albridger.
And that's all we got for DoorDunsey. Goodbye, everybody.